Long night, ooh, way to kill the fool. No, you like that secret, ooh, baby. Heavy on my empty mindset. I gotta keep the moves to see the best of me. Still worry that I wasted the best of me on you, baby. Yeah. Now I'm gonna be careful since this is urgent. And it makes sense of little change, got me a war in my mind. Let it go away, think he was holding me to the right, but it will pick up in front of me. Oh, away my heart. Still wanna try, still believing. Good days, sunny inside, full of it in my mind. Gotta get right, trying to free my mind before the end of the world. I don't miss no ex, I don't miss no text. I choose not to respond. I don't regret, just pretend shit never happened. Half of us laying waste that I use this in the present. Half of us chasing fountains of youth and it's in the present.
All right. All right. Welcome everybody. Tonight should be a pretty cool one. Hopefully, I think I figured out my sound a little bit better too. So as we go through this, hopefully you guys enjoy it. Tonight, Amy is out. She's got some other stuff going. So we'll leave it at that. She's got a little trip she's got to do. So she's getting ready for that. But in the meantime, tonight is going to be about joint health. In the herbal approach, there's a lot to it as we go forward. This will be probably part one of a few times we attack the joints, and should be an interesting one for you. This is one you get here. I hear about a lot, supplementation wise for joints is a big major focus, and some of us can name some, but hopefully I give you some that maybe you hadn't heard of, and maybe some approaches that'll be good. So our first things first. Well, two things. Number one, there is on our Myers Chiropractic site, there is a link to March Madness brackets. I love them. It's so fun. We're opening it up to patients and anybody really that wants to get in on the old March Madness stuff. So if you're interested, get in there. There is zero prize except for understanding that you have beat Jeremy, Dr. Thane, and Matt. Those are the three major ones that'll hurt the most. Because Teresa thinks that she's gonna somehow pull this victory off, and I've been studying. So if you fill out one of those brackets, just go to Myers Chiropractic, scroll down a little bit, and there will be a link. And in there, you can get into our bracket. My hope is it'll work. I'm not sure. I think I set it up right. But if it does, it'll just be my ego you're hurting. So you don't get a prize for it either. So just let you know that it's there. Michigan State made it barely. Oh, dear Lord. I thought they were going to be out the way it was looking. Anyway, so let's go over I got three things that I found kind of this week that we should talk about. One of them is we know and we understand as a 1% tribe, the antibiotics aren't the best thing for you. I wouldn't want to live in a world where there was no antibiotics. However, when you look at different things, there are other options out there. Okay. So before you have to go to an antibiotic situation, maybe try some of these. Okay. So these are the major ones that you could try. So medicinal honey. It's a certain one. Look that up. Medicinal honey is really good. One of the fermentations that we go over is honey and garlic, basically. The next one is garlic. So medicinal honey, garlic, ginger, echinacea, golden seal, myrrh oil, thyme, okay, oregano, and these are all as essential oils, okay, clove extract, and the last but not least, that's probably the most doable, is a really good organic cranberry juice. On a little note on the garlic, usually when somebody goes in for surgery, I try to recommend that they do a few weeks of garlic prior to, just to make sure, it's never, prevention is way better than an infection after a surgery. So those are some key elements. This is a good one that I found this week. Grip strength, grip strength, which we have one of these at the office. Obviously, it's a grip tester and it tells you how many pounds. Grip strength is a much bigger deal than we had realized. And then once I started thinking about this, it makes sense. Grip strength is actually correlated to how we age. So the better and stronger your grip strength is, the more they call it, like what we've talked about before, epigenetics, right? That you have a stronger epigenetic code. So that would lead to better improvement. So the older you are and this better grip strength you have, the better you do age-wise. So it's kind of interesting that was always my grandparents always had a grip strength exercise piece. If anybody ever remembers the big rubber band, or I'm sorry, it was basically a spring. And I just remember them having that, all the time, and we'd goof around with it all the time. Pretty much as their one main thing of fitness in their home. So, because they were outdoor people and farm and all those kind of things. So grip strength, a big deal. So make sure you're making sure that's part of your routine as we go forward. And here's one. It's kind of random, but it's pretty good to know. So dry eyes. If you know somebody suffering with dry eyes, they could actually be. It could be a sign of low vitamin levels in general, especially omega 3s. Okay, so fish oils, omega 3 fatty acids. That could be a huge thing. And the big one that you kind of understand is a lot of smoke, a lot of wind, dry air. And another one that is fascinating is screen time. So screen time, remember that energy, there's there's actual radiation coming off of your computer screen. So just remember that as you go forward. And then we will get into, I think that's all I got. And so since I don't have my counterpart here, we'll just get right into it. So I made up a little presentation and hopefully it will make a lot of sense. Tonight we'll go over a few different pieces of this. I think I gotta just bear with me for a second. I opened a thing that I wasn't wanting to open. Okay. All right. Here we go. Slide. Do this again. Sorry, guys. View. Oh, duh. Okay. So here we go. So this is a conversation about joint health, the holistic way. Okay. So some of this stuff you have heard before, and a lot of it is going to be new though. And so I want you to understand as we go, this is a very hot topic, a lot of misinformation on the little pieces. Like it's all real, but it's not enough to get you to that next level. And that's what my hope is tonight, is to get us there. Before we start, the biggest thing is like understand that this is a really difficult subject, because many people's joints are past or beyond a certain point where they think it's over. It's the joint has no health. There's no chance at this kind of thing, recovering it. And I'm gonna say that maybe it can't be recovered, but at least you could slow it down a little bit. And some of the ones that are well known really don't have the effect of some of the other type of situations that we have. So that, in my opinion, that's a big my opinion one. And we'll talk about that as we go. So let's dive in. So we're going to go through a quick overview on the everyday supplementation you can take to help your joints, right? In your joint health. Some food strategies that can help for best your joint success. And then hopefully we'll get to this part if I don't become too long-winded, but physical activities to get you there. All right. So let's go through the herbs that can help. But before we do that, we have to start looking at another key point, which always makes sense, your diet, your foods that you put in. It's a lot of times these are big factors in the reasoning these arthritic conditions show up. And so what we have to do is we have to focus on that part. And I know a lot of people don't think that way, but when you look at overall, the weight of a person, that is a huge factor in some of these things because we're going against gravity. So no artificial sugars. That would be a fantastic thing to stay away from. Artificial ingredients in general, they lead to your immune, like we've talked about before, immune system going crazy, right? Your immune system is then it has this inflammation process, and the inflammation out of control will lead to different parts of your body having to do stuff. Try to eat as clean as you can, and water helps. In my opinion, a lot of the reasons water's so important is it helps kind of detoxify if there is those bad chemicals there. So that I think of it as that. And so like the more water you get in, the better. Okay. So we're going to talk about the awesome stuff I've learned over my time. So curcumin is a sup is with it's the different herbs. Okay. So curcumin is the chemical factor that helps with a lot of this stuff. So you're going to hear a few different ones. So curcumin alone and in combination with boswellia, ginger, and other herbs, right? So any of those combinations has a huge beneficial effect on osteoarthritis, okay? Because it helps enhance it gets rid of the anti-inflammatory around osteoarthritic areas. Curcumin is like your turmerics, those kind of things. A lot of times you'll see that turmeric is supplemented supplemented with something called with pepper, like with black pepper. Okay. The reason is because it becomes even more effective if you have what they call piperine. Piperine is the active ingredient in pepper that allows it to be that anti-inflammatory. These are key because osteoarthritis doesn't just show up magically. It is an inflammation gone bad. So or an inflammation that's been there a really long time and it starts to help create bone, basically. Okay. So that's one. So remember curcumin, and try to find something with all of those. So curcumin, boswellia, ginger, and there's some we'll talk about that have this supplementation in there that is really good. And then of course, if the pepper, the black pepper or the piperine is in there, it's a really good supplement. Say Crifia domestica is one to kind of look up. This one is it's kind of a crazy name to it, but that one is shown to be really, really good as well. Okay, so SGCG is an Ayurvedic medicine that has a lot of extracts in it. Okay, so this is from the Ayurvedic. If you remember what Ayurvedic is, Ayurvedic, if you remember back when we had our acupuncturist on, Dr. Flynn, he is an Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine doctor. Ayurvedic medicine is got a different philosophy, but not much. But they have some really good supplements out there. And this one called SGCG is fantastic. And it has a lot of good stuff. The reason I bring this up is because we haven't even hit the two that are the major players that we hear about a lot. And we'll talk about it in a minute, but glucosamine and chondroitin are not my top two, maybe not even my top 15. Okay. Most people think chondroitin and glucosamine. I have not seen the effect um, of that situation. I've seen a lot of other things that help more than those do. And so that's basically my opinion over many years of like looking at it. There is some kind of effect, but a lot of times these herbal remedies are actually better in the beginning stages, especially in getting somewhere where you can use that movement again in the osteoarthritis. Okay. So this SGCG is really good at preservation of cartilage and glycosaminoglycans. Okay. So that is huge. Because there's not a lot that help cartilage. I'm telling you now, it's hard to find stuff out there that actually does that. Um, if you had, so in our 1% tribe, always remember as well that you may not have arthritis currently, but what if you could slow the pace if you knew genetically from your epigenetic programming, your program that's running 95% of your time, let's say your family members had bad arthritis. Well, why not do something before it gets bad, right? So just remember that as we go. So that's some. All right. So here's glucosamine and chondroitin. These are two. You got to take a lot of it to make sure that it's an effective situation. Okay. So glucosamine and chondroitin, if you take a ton of it, you may get the effect that you need. The problem is we don't understand that in herbal parts. We think like one or two is going to get us done. And that's because we've been talked into this medical paradigm with this one little pill is going to like fix everything because it's so powerful in the chemical world. But in a lot of these different herbal formulations, you got to try it more than one day. Okay, it's got to be a 3 month. You gotta you gotta put it down because 1,500 milligrams a day, 1,200 milligrams a day for chondroitin are two of your major areas. Okay. And a lot of times, if you can get some of these joints working properly, um, and one of the things we'll talk about in a minute is not only can we restore that functional movement there. So, and that's why we're going to bring up pain reduction for joints as well. So, pain reduction for joints is a big piece because of what we're going to talk about. The best combination for pain relief is arnica and another one is comfrey root. So those are two. Arnica gel. We actually have some of that in that you can get arnica in a lot. It's a cream more than anything else. And comfrey root can be a supplement or in a gel as well. The reason the pain situation is very important. In osteoarthritis, one of the problems is that we lose range of motion. Okay. So when we lose range of motion, that's a problem. So, and we lose range of motion based on pain. If we can figure out a way to get that joint out of pain and able to start improving the range of motion, you have a shot to reduce or probably not reduce, but at least keep at bay the arthritis that wants to continue to go, right? So if that makes sense. So I want to stop here just in a minute because Rachel was bringing my daughter back to college. So you might hear the dogs go crazy in just a second. I'm not sure when she's coming back. I'm hoping I'm off of this before that happens. But anyway, so the next one I want to talk about is capsaicin. So hot peppers and devil's claw. Devil's claw are these two are really good for rheumatoid arthritis, which is a interesting caveat. People that have rheumatoid typically will have their joints kind of break down in a different way than osteoarthritis will. Osteoarthritis is really very similar to rust on a hinge. Okay. Rheumatoid arthritis, unfortunately, is more like the hinges. If you've used that same rust on a hinge analogy, it would be the hinge actually is not hook. It's really, really loose. It's not functioning as it would. The screws aren't in it, or it's starting to break down as far as bent. It can have different formations. So capsaicin and devil's claw are really good for the rheumatoid arthritis. Uh, but the devil's claw is pretty bitter. But devil's claw is a really good herb for chronic back pain or osteoarthritis, which now we have a sweet devil's claw in the office. You don't have to take a lot of this one actually either. You can get some good pain relief with the combination of that should allow you to get that movement back, right? So in combination with turmeric and devil's claw and bromelain, it's a really good combination of all the stuff. You need like joint, you have anti-inflammatory in there, and possibly you could recover those joints. Here's just a few more. So Corydalis, Chinese skullcap, and then bromelain, which we talked about. Bromelain is the one that you find in pineapple. Actually, Rachel did a reduction of pineapple today. So if your pineapple's dying out, reduce it down, boil it down, and then you have a little pineapple juice, and it's a great situation. And Boswellia, that's what that last one's supposed to be, but I can't spell. So there's those. So hopefully I didn't go too fast. All right, so let's talk about this. This is from Dr. Mercola, one of the articles that he posted on his site. If you want a lot of good information, Dr. Mercola is a fantastic place. I get a lot of my newer stuff there, or the newer latest and greatest articles. So I really like to see what's out there, and he's one of the sites I use quite a bit. So foods that can help with osteoarthritis or arthritis in general, or joint health. You remember, this is what we're talking about is joint health. Cruciferous vegetables, that are high in sulforaphane, organic sulfur that supports cell function. It helps block the enzymes linked to the destruction and lowers inflammation that drives pain. So cruciferous vegetables, all your green ones, your broccoli, your Brussels sprouts, all of those have this situation going for them. Okay. So the biggest thing is it's not just it's good for you. It supports the cell function, blocks the enzymes that are linked to joint destruction. That's a big deal, like as it's getting in the situation that you're in. And of course, the more you lower the inflammation around the joint, the better off you're going to be as far as the function. Anthocyanins. These are found in purple and red colored berries. Okay. They lower the oxidative stress and inflammation and support the GI health. And that helps lower the inflammation and improves the pain control. So that's another good one. Red colored, but raspberries, anything you can think of, purple, grapes, those kind of things. It's always interesting because if you can get a lot of these different foods in, they all have there's so much value to some of the just eating correctly. It's amazing. Marine-based fatty fish are rich in long-chain omega-3s, which we talked about before. They're highly bioavailable, and it allows you to lower inflammatory response, and it will become one of those really, really good supplements for your joints. So it's kind of like you're hearing this 1,000 times over. However, and there's nothing new, like there's not going to be, the sweet waters, the donut with the filling is going to be the next one that's going to help your joints. You kind of know these things, but to understand the knowledge of what you can take make your plate so that your joints are healthy, right? That's what this 1% tribe's all about, is trying to understand, oh man, if I have broccoli in next to my salad that has raspberries in it, right? And maybe I put some fish on top of my salad, like we had the other night, which was phenomenal. Rachel has this new like some kind of cooker. She's gonna hurt me that I don't know what it is. Very quick and really, really good. It wasn't a microwave. It was like a slow, like a heat steamer almost. And that fish turned out fantastic. So just think outside the box when we start to eat. Think in terms of function. Think in terms of what is good for your human body, and that's what I'm here for, or that's why we're doing this stuff. All right, things to avoid if possible. So we're going to go through this a little bit. Sometimes it's impossible to avoid these things, but we're going to try. That's our goal. Steroids are my first thing that make me have issues. So steroids, especially injecting into a site, they're super effective for pain at the moment. But the studies have shown they have a horrendous effect on your joint health. It softens them, in fact, advancing the osteoarthritis eventually and the damage to those joints if done on a very continuous basis. I always say there is a time. They work fantastic. In fact, I've recommended it a few times. The biggest thing is understanding that it's not the end, it's not the only answer, right? So if sometimes steroids will be the one where you have a control, right? You get it down, the inflammation down to where you control it, and then you can use the other stuff we just talked about, getting it back on track with those kind of things. Steroids are a go-to in our medical establishment or medical healthcare currently, and it's doing what it's supposed to do, but the problem is what is the side effect and what could we do better? I guess as 1% tribe people, I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but why not start with something easier, right? So the other one that I really like that's happening currently, and I vouch for this pretty heavy, infrared is a different situation. You'll have to look these up. But cold laser therapy is something we have at our office now. And we've had it for a while. The implications have been phenomenal. Like for cold laser therapy, has some really good results for joint health in general, especially if somebody's going through like osteoarthritic, like real close to have to go medical. It's really been fantastic that way. What people are noticing is, and how cold, I can't speak on infrared, how it actually like goes to the science, but the cold laser, the idea is it sends frequency through light. So it's light frequency that goes into the cells of the body, right, in that area. Those cells kind of get woken up again because part of the osteoarthritis problem is those cells have kind of started to fall asleep, the ones that are active. And then because that happens, nature decides to say, hey, if you're not going to work, we might as well just, board up the windows, right? Think of each joint as this little house with a little factory, and you're trying to do, and the factory's moving, right? So let's say your knee. As long as you're moving, that factory's moving and it's working with you to do all those things. Well, then you stop doing stuff, you stop maintaining, you sit in a chair all day, you gain a little weight, you don't walk as much as you used to. You take an injury, think of that thing, and then you start having to like put boards on the windows, right? So the boards on the windows, you got to start supporting it in different ways. That's kind of how, if you think of that way, one of these days we'll have to do a watch party with an old movie called Osmosis Jones, which I loved because it showed all those different parts. But though that's what the joints do for your body, is allow that function to get there, but those cells have to be working to do that. Okay. So just remember that. So if you know something infrared, cold laser therapy are fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to go into some of the stuff that actually causes um, another piece of this osteoarthritis to kind of be there. Okay, so hormonal changes is a big one. It's surprising, but it's up there. Drugs, overwork, which we'll talk about. Well, we'll talk about it right now. So sometimes our training, our physical fitness level is actually over the top. And so sometimes that's not all the times the case, but sometimes we've pushed mechanically too far, right? We've made that factory work so hard that it starts to have issues, right? Hydrogenated oils. This is a big one. The seed oils of the stuff they put into everything that we're not supposed to have. They cause an inflammation process, and that inflammation process leads to poor joint health. Think about how you feel after a really crappy day of eating. Let's say you ate clean for a while, and then you wake up and you start eating crappy, right? So you had 2 months, you ate nothing but perfect, and then you ate crappy. How does your body feel, right? You feel you feel the joints are inflaming, you feel bloated, you feel all those things. That's an inflammation process within you that is the problem, right? So that's one of the things. Processed food, aging, you're gonna have, and Dr. Geimer used to say this all the time. Osteoarthritis starts showing up in the early 20s. You could actually have the osteoarthritis show up in the as early as the early 20s based on trauma to a joint or those kind of things. So as we age, it's more apt to start happening. So nutritional deficiencies is another one. Different vitamins can be a major issue as well, right? Fluoride in the water can be a problem. Radiation, don't think just, nuclear or anything like that. Think off of your computer screen. Too much sun, right? That could be a problem. Sugar, stress, those are all, you understand those two. Dehydration's a huge one because each joint is made of cartilage, water, and air. Okay. That one I should have just did a whole slide on. Cartilage, water, and air. If we're dehydrated for the majority of our life, with about, I would say 70% of the population, we're getting smarter, so I don't know if it's as deep as it used to be. But hydration, if we don't have hydration and we're drinking pop all day, and we think and we are not hydrated, it becomes a major issue, not just to how you feel, but your joints lose that ability to have that other cartilage or the other cushion. So let me slow down for a second because I'll do this a lot. In each joint of your human body, there are 3 levels before you get what they call bone on bone. There's actually nothing, you wouldn't necessarily ever be bone on bone and you'll understand what I'm talking about. There is cartilage on top of the bone below. There's water or a fluid that runs over top of that cartilage, and then there's a pocket of air. Okay. So those 3 in every joint of the human body are layered. You have 3 layers prior to like a bone literally touching another bone. If a bone literally touched another bone, like what they say, the bone on bone, you would have a stick. They would fuse together and morph into one big rod. Okay. When they say bone on bone, they're not wrong because you can see it on an x-ray. Those 3 layers have gotten reduced to a point where it's touch and go as far as like how much water or cartilage is left in there. So don't think I'm saying, oh, it can't ever have bone on bone. It's just a nice way to say, hey, you most of the time you can't, if you'd be a stick, right? There wouldn't be a joint there essentially if that was the case. But remember the cartilage water and that fluid needs to be hydrated. If it's not, you're going to lose it because the air one over you as you age, you'll start losing that. That's why the kids can make all the poppy, cracky noises all the time. And then us old people can't do that as much. The more like the more you lose that air pocket, the closer your joints are getting. So alcohol is an interesting one because it leads to dehydration. Trauma, obviously, you can have like a major impact to a joint, and that will kickstart the inflammation process, which kickstarts the joint being all messed up. And then her favorite subject of all time, poor gut health. And this is it goes for where the collagen that is going, we're going to talk about in a minute. Poor gut health leads to not being able to digest the things our joints need. And so we need to make sure our guts are phenomenal. By the way, tonight, if you remember, reach out to me. We're doing a gut health package now, where we come in and we evaluate you in the beginning and we do it, and it's going to be fantastic. Reach out to the office for more details on it. I've done it, I think, 5 or 6 times now with really, really cool results. Uh, it's one of those that's worth the beginning thought process. So anyway, so we'll go on to the next one. Now, here's one that my ladies and men probably, I don't know, we got some collagen people will like to know. Taking care of your skin, all the things that you see with vitamins or nutritional supplements for your skin will also, in this is my opinion, not necessarily all crazy into they haven't done a lot of these studies. They have in collagen, but collagen, making sure you have good collagen through bone broth or bovine collagen can really help uh, improve your skin plus your joints as well. Biggest problem with this is the marketing that's going on currently. The best broth, the best collagen you will ever get is in a slow cooker with a animal, chicken, beef, vegetable with the bone in it. That's the idea of the bone broth. I'm so not sure about. I think there's some good bone broths out there that are in powder form. I'm just not sold yet. I haven't seen that, but they are out there in a like supplement form that I think will be good. Just as you go, you just got to see it. Now, the problem with this is if your gut is not working right, you're going to have issues digesting what you need to get that collagen going. Okay. Okay. So studies show another thing is the red light therapy or low level laser therapy can increase collagen growth to improve wrinkles and skin elasticity. So that's another one. The red light therapy, low level laser, has been shown to increase the collagen growth and improve the skin elasticity. Okay. I'm not sure, but it makes sense that the red light therapy would actually help joints as well. Okay. So just remember that as you go. Retinol, which is an antioxidant, it increases the lifespan of collagen and blocks the enzyme to destroy it. So remember, collagen is a big part of your cartilage. Okay. So if that is true, retinol is a fantastic antioxidant to think about. Ginseng with antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties was found to increase collagen in the bloodstream, and it might have anti-aging effects. So remember, ginseng maybe as a tea, tincture, those kind of things, if that's something you're thinking about. But a lot of people don't. They think mostly right now it's about bone broth and collagen. And these things are, oh, by the way, this is chaga and ashwagandha tea. Oh, it's really good tonight. So anyway, here's another one that's interesting. Aloe vera. This one is interesting. Aloe vera is, if taken orally, nearly doubled the hyaluronic acid and collagen production in the studies. Whoa. Aloe vera? That's an easy one, right? Aloe vera, all of us have had that. We can make nice smoothies out of that, all those kind of things. Hyaluronic acid is your cartilage matrix. Okay, so it's a big part of it. It's collagen and hyaluronic acid. When you double those two, you're talking that's huge, and so in fact, when I was doing this presentation, that's the one that stuck out to me the most that I will be adding to what I do currently. All right. Okay. So this is where we talk about hyaluronic acid. It's an important compound for collagen in the skin, and it also can be found in root vegetables or taken as a supplement. So you could actually take hyaluronic acid um, by itself, but it's usually found in your root vegetables, carrots, potatoes, those kind of things. Here's another one. Essential vitamin C was shown in one study to be skin protective and create more collagen in the body. Antioxidants, which protect against damaging the free radicals, enhance effectiveness of the existing collagen. Okay. All right. So we're going to go through these again, and this is all from Dr. Mercola's articles. It's fantastic. But wild-caught Alaskan salmon with good omega-3s are going to help your joints. Berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries will help your skin. But in the reason I'm bringing all these up is these are other options to help your joints as well. When you look at the skin, okay, when you look at the skin, it's the most visible outside organ on the planet, right? Or on the human body. If the skin is off, then typically there's something inside that it's showing you that we need to do, right? So with that, what we want to do is use that in our 1% tribe. We're using that as a self test so that we know, okay, if our skin's looking good, a lot of times your joints will probably look good as well, right? So make sure, and I can give I should stop here. I'll do these last two and I'll give you an example of that. So oranges, grapefruits, lemons, and limes have a ton of vitamin C, which that and so those it has a lot of the amino acids, lysine and proline, that convert to collagen. So oranges, grapefruits, lemons, and limes are all huge. And when you do that, and the amino acids that help with the substances that convert to the amino acids that convert to collagen. Okay, garlic can also contain sulfur, a necessary component for collagen production. Like we talked about, the cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, garlic, you can put that in there as well. Okay, I know it's a lot, so hang in there with me. If you ever want the recording of this, we're gonna have it later. Probably in a couple weeks, you'll get to hear this as well. So just remember that part. Okay, so we're at the end. What are we going to do for a 1% tribe improvement? We're going to be adding meats with bone and cartilage in our diet. Okay, that'd be a good one, right? Start adding some of the herbs we discussed. Maybe add some ginger, some turmeric, some boswellia, all those different ones. Maybe do a ton of glucosamine and chondroitin, right? So you're going to need a lot of it if you do it. All right. Exercise. What we talked about in the overuse, make sure you're exercising at a point that you don't feel the inflammation take over for a while. So if you get too sore for days and days and days, maybe it's too much, right? All right. Fix your joints on the way to helping your skin. So basically, if you think of the stuff you do for your skin, that will help your joints in the meantime as well. So understand when you're studying both, you can do that. And then, of course, evaluate your environment for the different interferences, and make sure you get your spine and joints evaluated by a chiropractor. That's a massive deal. Making sure everything's working in a good function will help you a ton, right? Especially in joint health. I'll give you the story now. I was blessed to be able to take care of a lady that was a chiropractor till she was, I believe she passed away when she was 96. She was still seeing patients at 95 years old. One of the things I was fascinated with is that she opened my eyes to all these different all the herbs, right? I was pretty sciencey, chiropractic, you move a bone, and that's all, like I'd love the science of herbals and a little bit of the nutrition side, but I wasn't like totally bought in until I met her. And once I started adjusting, a 92-year-old that her spine was working so well because she kept regular chiropractic adjustments. Her supplementation was fantastic. She did a lot of the things. My favorite part was she'd see at 95, she's seeing like, 3 or 4 people a week. But my favorite was she was a riot. And if you got adjusted by her, you had to play I think it was either 200 or one of those games you were there no matter what, playing 200 or something. So I love the opportunity to do that, and she taught me a ton. And this is one of them, is she was proof of just awesome joints. Did she have some breakdowns? Of course she did. But was she able to get around? Absolutely. And so that's what I want for all my people, is let's give you the tools now so that we can start looking at that. All right. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have any questions. I'm going to have Julie pop on here if you have any questions for me. I talked a lot tonight, so it's going to be overwhelming each time, probably. So how's it going?
It is going okay, but you hit upon a topic that is very close to me. My face is still breaking out, something
Okay.
off. I know it's a gut health issue, so I'm coming to get your kit this week
Okay, perfect. And
because
so,
I
yeah.
can't figure it out. It gets really good. I think my diet is really good. A lot of things you talked about, I do.
Yep.
I'm 60 some years old and I am so sick.
That's
Can you
how it
tell?
goes. Sometimes, and your gut, a lot of times, if you get the right bacterial, if once you get a normalized gut, and that happens, a lot of those kind of ones. But the nice thing is you notice it. Like uh in gut health, sometimes it goes unnoticed with people's skin, and we cover it up so much sometimes. But if you're able to like self-aware and go, okay, something's not right, typically a lead all the way back to the gut, and we'll talk about that. That was good. So, but it's cool that taking care of that skin is is good for your joints as well. So that, I thought that was fascinating. I wanted to add that one in there. But yeah, hopefully
I
everybody
don't
liked
have a
it.
joint issue. I move
Right.
all the time. I have a resting issue. I don't rest enough.
Correct. Right. And that's the coolest part, is like, that, and it's gonna be good. So cool. Does you got anything else, or you good?
No, I also do drink aloe vera,
Yeah.
and I have been doing that for years,
Oh. Oh,
and
is
I
it
like
good?
it, so I put it
I
in my
literally have
water.
never done it. Is it delicious? Or
It has a little bit of a taste. It is
okay.
not horrible, but
I can live.
some people might react. Some people have when something doesn't taste good, they just really react. Me, it's going to have to taste really, really bad before I will reject it.
Well, that's where I was like, man, you could do a joint smoothie. You could have aloe vera and
Yes.
raspberries or something, like, and so I was like going, that doesn't sound too bad for me. So So you think about
No.
it, the ones that I really like in the joint world in anti-inflammatory, raspberries, let's say aloe vera now, which is a big part of this study. And tonight I was like, holy smokes, that's really good. And then bromelain's in pineapple. So you can make a combination of that and make it taste delicious. I know that. So we'll figure that out as we go. But I would say that would be my biggest thing tonight is take this all in. If you have any other questions on it, let me know later, but it's a big world. It's a big joints are a big world. There's a lot to it. And so hopefully we'll just keep improving that each time. Movement is always key. Supplementation is always key. And we'll get it done. So, all right, everyone, have a good night.